How's it going, Sha?
Let me ask you something.
Okay.
If you had a tenant, right? Because you're a landlord. Sorry, I don't know if you're okay with me saying that. You're
Yeah,
a
no.
landlord. So you have a tenant, right?
Mhm.
Everything's been moving along, blah blah blah. You decide, you want to fix up a few things in their apartment.
Okay.
Not that they've said anything is wrong, just you want to come in and fix it up, spruce it up, like maybe do a painting, painting the apartment or whatever.
Okay.
And say this tenant also has just been doing month to month, not on a lease, and you decide, all right, I want to get you on a lease as well. Are you getting ready to raise that tenant's rent? Just out of curiosity.
Admittedly, I would assume for most landlords, yes, unless they live in the building. That's like the one caveat, because but painting, when you say painting, that's weird because like if I'm fixing something and I live there, I'm also keeping in mind that I live there. So like I do
Right.
want it to be functional. However,
Yes.
painting does not affect my life. Like if you want your fucking paint to look shitty
Right.
and it's been 10 years, that's on you. I think most tenants I think painting is something they do. Like we paint a general off-white, and then
Mm-hmm.
like it's kind of like considered your palette. Do what you want from there. We just want
Right.
base color. And then in turn, when a tenant moves out, they show
They
me what
gotta.
you have going on, and either like you paint it over or like back to off-white. But if it looks good, I've even let people let it rock.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
yeah, painting is weird. Like that's something where I would definitely be like, oh, I'm getting like a little bump. Like they're gonna show this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wondered that because I wasn't here, but my landlord did come down and talk to my roommate, and he is doing he lives here. This is
Yeah.
basically his house, and then we're like the basement apartment, little
Okay.
garden apartment. And so, I know that he wants me to make sure to mention to him if anything is wrong because it's his house, and he wants to make sure his house is working.
Yeah.
Right? Sure. That absolutely makes sense. But for the most part, everything is fine except for the one thing that he knows about, which is a weird leak by the front door that he has been trying for years to figure out where that's coming from. And so he's kind of aware of anything there. Otherwise, there's really nothing else. But he, I think, is kind of going through like I'm going to improve my home type thing. So he's had someone come out to fix something that was going on in his unit in the main
Okay.
part of the house. And so he was like, they can come down and fix it for you. And I'm like, it's not a problem for me. I think that's just your apartment thing, not mine.
Yeah.
And then so he came in and he was just like, I want to fix up anything that's wrong. And I want to paint. And so he has before fixed some stuff in the kitchen and then decided to paint the kitchen. And
Okay.
just the top half of the kitchen walls are like plaster or whatever, or drywall. The bottom half's all tile. So he left the tile alone, but the part that's actual wall, he painted orange.
Okay.
And so that's his choice. He was like, I just thought it was like a nice little, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Great. All right. I mean, that's fine. I'm not mad at it. So I think he was saying to my roommate, like decide kind of what you want to do in here, like for a color, if you want to do that. But also he was like, I want to get you guys on a lease. And I'm like, a lease? Who he even talking to? What do you know about leases? Because when I tell you I've been here, the bulk of my time here, I've
Yeah.
not been on a lease. So I'm just like, what's going through his mind? Is he about to raise the rent? But,
My first instinct would be that rent going up is possible, admittedly, just because that's proof that your apartment is a certain condition. But my first instinct would be that he needs a loan. So like this is
oh,
his way of saying I have a certain amount of income coming in. So the lease kind of shows that, you know what I mean? Like, otherwise there's no, outside of like, taxes, and it still looks kind of funny if you're just paying in cash. A lease is proof that not only do you have income coming in the past, but it's locked in going forward.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. You know what? That tracks. That absolutely tracks. That would make
Yeah.
sense. More so than him wanting to raise the rent. Because really, he just, my understanding from him is just like, he just wants someone to pay him on time.
Yeah.
And to not like have an issue with it. And I mean, he doesn't even cash the rent checks for months. For months. We are now, it's funny he's asking for this now because we are now caught up with, he's cashed every check that I've given him. But before,
so
I
like,
mean, yeah, I just have like 4 or 5 months of rent just sitting in my checking account. And that really bothers me because I'm not trying to be your savings account. Do you want me to give you cash, or do you want me to like Zelle you, or like what can I do for you to get this money away from me? You know, because don't let me get fucked up. Now I've spent it, and now you come looking for it. Hey man, you had 6 months.
At that point, I thought you was giving it back.
Yeah, So there's that. But yeah, he's just been like, I just want, people who will pay.
Yeah, I mean, and this is indirectly. This is also why I always tell people that they should rent almost exclusively from like smaller landlords or people that live in the building. They just treat it differently. Like, you tend to get more affordable rents. They live there. They're more likely to fix the home. There's a big detachment when you rent from like a huge building that the owner is part of a corporation and they never live there. They don't know what it's like to deal with the day to day.
Right.
It just sucks. But self-advocating, I get it, but like all my apartments is full. I'm not looking for tenants. Like I'm generally, I think this is the right thing for most people.
Yeah.
And they tend to be the only landlords I know that aren't consistently evil. Like if you're a person, like it's just something about being another person, just makes you different, I think, as someone managing a building.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when I'm listening to that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like I hear someone that's like, oh, I need a loan for something, whether it's like trying to buy another property. If I'm older, maybe looking to buy like a retirement home. If they got kids or family, either like a medical thing or paying for a wedding. I'm looking at those type of things if I'm hearing that.
Okay. Well, yeah, that could be it. I mean, I don't know much about his family and how things are going, but I do know that they have like 4 kids and one of them's in college and the other one college is real soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would track. That would absolutely track. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just watching. I'm like, huh?
That's like, because those are the things I would be doing. Like, I'm like, all right, I gotta figure out how to stabilize my income. I gotta show proof that I can pay for this.
Right.
And, so like a lease would do that. Whereas like normally no lease and like, especially cash payment or like something like that, those are all benefits to a landlord. You know what I mean? It gives me more flexibility in terms of how I report, like when I report income, like it's just you're giving me more options, just like tipping in cash.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No, I mean, I ain't giving him cash. I cut him a check.
Yeah,
I need proof. I need proof for me that I've been putting my money somewhere. That I'm not just ordering checks for no reason. So,
How do you do that? But that like shit like that blows my mind. Like, I feel pretty confident. I know how to run my building. I have no idea how to get paper checks.
Come on, you can get paper checks.
I'm sure. Like I know it's possible. Like I believe.
Yeah, you just order.
Like how?
You can. I think you can order them through like apps now.
Okay.
I believe. I feel like I put in a reorder through the app, and they will mail it to the address that is on your check or on your account.
Okay.
So there's that, and it usually gets to you pretty quickly. A couple of weeks. How much do those cost? Maybe like maybe somewhere between $13 to $20. Okay. Maybe depending on how many checks you have. If you're getting a fancy printed check, or if you are ordering like, because businesses, like some people still have the kind of checkbook where it's like 3 of them. It's like a binder.
Yeah.
And it depends on the kind of check that you need. If you need the kind that are just going in like a little billfold kind of checkbook, or do you need the kind where it's like sheets of checks, 3 or 4 sheets of checks in a binder that's more business-like, that kind of thing with its own ledger and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they still got them. I ordered some not that long ago, I think, because I think I'm down to like 2 more packs of them or something. So it's about time for me to maybe think about ordering again.
That's
But
rough.
literally the only thing I write checks for is rent, and then if there's some other random thing like for the passport, or something where it's like, or something where it's like governmenty, where it's like, oh, y'all take checks? And they're like, I think we do. And I'm like, yeah, y'all do. Here you go. That kind of thing where I'm going to need proof that I did it and not just like in my head, like, I think I did that. Like I need it written down.
Listen, the last checks I had were WAMU.
Ooh, bruh.
Last time I had checks was Washington Mutual.
That's 100%. A while ago.
Yeah. And anytime I need a check, I give money to my parents and they write me a check. They have checks. So like Michaela needed like $20 for some school thing and they needed it in check.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to walk down the block and like, yo, mom, I need a check. And
like there are some places where they're just like, no, we still need a check. And I'm like, I got you. And I honestly feel like my sister and I are probably the only people still writing checks, but we're not like at the store writing check. We're not that person, right. But like if someone else, like, oh, okay. And my sister still like has like the checkbook ledger. So she writes down every time, like she goes to ATM or she uses her card. And anyway, whereas I used to do that. But that slowed me down up here a little bit. So I just kind of mentally kind of have a dollar amount that I'm like, this is the dollar amount I'm working from. And then I just kind of mentally subtract. And then I look at my account like every day, every couple of days to make sure that, because I have a lot of things being taken out too, like all of the streaming services and newspapers and magazines that I pay for.
That's what like scares me with like what you were talking about, like with like the landlord being like 4 months back. Like that's all I go off of. Like I use my debit card and then like I'll review it like once a week. And like if I saw like just random months worth of rent checks, I would fuck my head up.
That's why when I look at my balance, the first thing I do when I'm trying to figure out what to pay is I'm like, okay, this minus 3 months rent. So the first thing I do is I look at that dollar amount that's sitting there. I subtract 3 or 4, however many months rent. And then I'm like, okay, this is the actual dollar amount I'm working with. So that's why I have to like subtract all that shit first. And then when I get to what the dollar amount is, that's the dollar amount I keep in my head. Like, this is what I'm taking from, not from what they say right now. Cause old dude he hadn't deposited my checks yet. So yeah, so it's a lot of I'm juggling a lot of numbers here.
Even when your landlord's good, he gives you the mental stress. I'm
just like, okay, all right. Yeah. But even like I feel like there's not going to be much in here that needs repairing.
Yeah.
So there won't be there are a couple of things that like there was a small fire in here once, tiny, minuscule, but he had to replace the stove and repaint the cabinets. And then he was like, well, while I'm in here, let me just switch out your fridge. And so naturally he was like, well, the rent's going to have to go up. And I'm like, that's fair. There was a tiny fire in here. I had nothing to do with it. Let me just go on record as saying that was my former roommate. He had sublet it out to somebody else and they were not familiar with the stove. And so they just didn't know what I was on. And there you have it. Tiny little fire. But yeah, so it's just like, I don't think, and I really don't even think he'll raise the rent that much, because I think he's just happy to have someone in here who seems to be in here for a while.
Yo,
But yeah,
that's peace of mind.
yeah, but oh boy. All right, great. So then I feel better about that. Wonderful, lovely.
Yeah, I would assume
Oh,
that's it.
yeah.
Because I know like my building specifically, like I've had the same tenants since I moved into the home. Like they came with the building, like straight up. Like
Right.
uh the third floor lady has
Mhm.
been here 3 owners.
Oh,
Like
wow.
straight up. Like she told me like there was like a day I went upstairs and I was like do you ever plan on moving? And like just joking, like on some like retirement shit. She's like
Mhm.
60. She's like my dad's age. And she's like, Gastor, I will be here long after you're gone. I will be here for the next owner. You give this to your kids, they sell it. I will be here. I was like, what? She's like, straight up, I'm going nowhere. Like, she comfortable. She been up there. And like, she's been married, divorced, had kids leave. Her mom died in the apartment. Like,
Mm,
all types of shit has happened to
yeah,
her. She's still there kicking. Like,
that's great.
straight up. And she's like, yeah, I'm going nowhere. She's 60, but like, she looked like she like 35.
Sure, yes.
And she just be active. She's moving. She eat like she keeps trying to tell everybody about being vegan. You know what I mean? And she's just one of those people. She's like, oh,
Yeah.
I live on the 3rd floor because it's good for my heart. And like, yo, I don't real talk. I don't. I've owned this building 12 years. I've been on that floor maybe 8 times. Like I have no reason to go up there. She
Right,
walks down. She gives me and my dad the rent. And she's like, yo, you don't even gotta worry up here. And every time I go up there, it looks perfect. Like
right.
it's mopped, it's maintained. She comes down and mops the front of the building for me. Like I'll be
That's
feeling
great.
terrible. She's awesome, but yeah, like there's just people like that like they admittedly like make it worthwhile for me to keep them in the building. So yeah, like
Mhm.
her rent is realistically like 20% under market,
Yeah, yeah, I
you
think
know?
that's the case I know that's the case for ours. We're
Yeah,
definitely under market, and I don't get the sense that old dude is trying to fucking clean up or anything. I
right.
think it's just his house, and
Right. He
he's
just
just
wants to know
always
it's
like,
running.
just let me know if anything goes wrong because I wanna make sure my house is working. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "That's fair. It's
That's my
only
logic.
that's the only problem right now, buddy."
Yo.
And you're on it, so, you
And
know.
she's the same way. She's like, yo, this was going on. And not only like she'll tell me, she'll be like, I tried to fix it. Be like, yo,
Right,
like
yeah.
she's like, I had my
Yeah, there are a lot of little things in here that, Kevin and I have just been like, we'll just replace.
yo,
We replaced a light switch thing. He was just like, I'll do that. There's no need calling the cavalry down for this. This is nothing."
yo. And like, cause like the reasoning here is different. They're like she'll be like, yo, that kid don't know what the fuck he doing. Like, we gonna tell Gaston, he's gonna tell his dad, then I'm gonna have a
Right.
combo. Like, that's just too much shit. So she'll just handle it. All my tenants are 60 plus, by the way. All
Okay.
3 floors. So they're all like my parents, like all of
Uh-huh.
them. And they like sincerely treat me like in various versions of how they perceive kids.
Uh-huh.
So like the basement, they like lovingly treat me like their son.
Mhm.
Like they like one of them, like the lady thinks she has a son that looks like me. So she like always trying to give me empanadas, real sweet. She gives my kids like ices during the summer because she views them as like the same as the family she has in DR.
Right.
The 3rd floor lady views me as her kid that's very inept. And like
Okay.
she loves me and wants best for me, but knows I don't know what the fuck I'm doing today.
Sure.
And she's like, I'm telling, so she tells me what's wrong, but like
Mhm.
on some like, I'm just keeping you posted so you can learn from this. But I'm
Right.
gonna talk with your dad about it later. Like, I'm never part of the solution process. It's just
Right.
like, listen, you should know because like you're trying to grow up one day. I know you're almost 40, but uh, one day you'll make it.
Oh my god.
And the 2nd floor dude, like, I don't think he's ever liked kids ever. And by
Mm.
kids, I mean anyone younger than him. Um, so he will not like. He doesn't talk to me. He like deals with me like by proxy. Like if I have to know something, he tells my dad. He speaks directly to my pop only. I
Okay.
know he talks English, but it's just like he knows I talk Spanish, but neither one of us want to break form to see who
Gotcha.
comes the other way. But yeah, he just doesn't do it. He's like, nope, I talk with your pops, and I'm like, I'm okay with that. I don't need to know what's going on. You talk with my pops, it's cool. But yeah, and then overall as a community, they kind of like they're all low maintenance and like
Right.
they're all good people. They're all chill. And that has a value to me. I don't got to freaking think about like a lot of things in terms of running the building. Anytime there is something wrong, they tell me like with more than enough time, so I'm able to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
More importantly to me, I know who's in the building with my kids. You
Right.
know, like my family's here. Like I don't have to worry about like a lot of that. You know, they're all every single one of them is here, like either with their like significant other or their grandkids. That has
Mm-hmm.
value to me. So you know what I mean. When I go and like paint their home, it's usually just because like, yeah, I had extra paint. You know, like,
Right.
yo, you want me to paint? You know, and I'll show them what I got going on. But otherwise, is them maintaining their floor in their apartment and them telling me what they did to my house. And
Right.
and I'm like, all right, cool, straight up. Every single thing in my home that like looks like it's of value, there is a
Mm-hmm.
solid chance they did it. Like yo,
Gotcha.
the mailbox was them, the doorbell was them. They like just like, yo, we need a buzzer, and they just set up a buzzer. You know, so like my dad maintains it, but they
Right.
installed it. They gave me the key to the mailbox. Like, hey, we just installed this outside. You know, and like, yeah, I was like, I know the mailman was leaving the mail on the floor. They're like, nah, we don't want that. And I was like, I guess we don't want that. And you know, they installed the mailbox. Not told me a damn. They just told me about it after it was done. You know, and like, I would say once every 2 weeks, Gabby, because I come in through the back door because I parked the car.
Mm-hmm.
Gabby will come home from work and she starts a conversation with, yo, you know, we got, or you know, we just, yo, who installed like something to that effect?
Right.
The lights in front of the building, definitely them, you know, like there's just shit that like it wouldn't have occurred to me. They did it. And like it's just so that their day-to-day life is better. So
Right.
how the hell am I gonna charge that dude $300 more? Like,
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
like
He's doing all
that
the
piece,
work.
yeah, like that peace of mind, I'm chilling, you know? So yeah, let that old man paint. You know what I mean? Let him rock, you know?
Old man, I know he's younger than me. I know he is.
It's wild that he went and picked the color though. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is. It's so. I was just like, okay, all right. In fact, I'm kind of surprised he came down and talked to Kevin about it, and that he even was like, you know, you guys can pick a color, because I think he kind of wanted to see what was going on, and once he got in here and he saw, oh, they are doing a thing, like
Yeah.
that. It wasn't like a lawn chair and
Yeah.
some sort of like card table. And he's like, oh no, I see. They have like they have artwork that matches the couch. Like, okay. So I'll let you pick a color. Because that honestly would have very upset me greatly. Like if I had
Yeah.
come home and suddenly he had like a shade of a color that I would never fuck with in my house.
Yo.
I'd be like, well, guess who's repainting? Because I'm not, I don't, I'll do your off-white walls and blah, blah, blah. But when we're talking about a shade, like a color, like an actual, I've got many opinions about colors. many opinions. And I'm not going to go off on the man. I'll just give him a couple of shades. Like, how do you feel about this or this? He's lucky because I was going to paint stripes in here like 2 years ago and I didn't. Because I think something shiny caught my eye and I forgot. But I was going to do stripes in here. So he's a little, like a dark purple stripe. It would have been a mess. So he's lucky.
Paying your apartment crazy is how you threaten landlords, just so y'all know.
Absolutely.
Okay? Let's get into the news.
All righty.
Colombia's president removes police chief who cited using exorcisms to catch fugitives. That's right.
Oh no.
Colombian President Gustavo Petro on Wednesday removed the national police director who had talked about using exorcisms to catch fugitives. Neither Petro nor Defense Ministry elaborated on reasons for dismissal of General Henry Sanabria. a staunch Catholic who was appointed by Petro in August of last year. But Sanabria was under an internal investigation by the ministry over whether he had inappropriately allowed his religious beliefs to infringe on his duties. Sanabria had unleashed a debate about the impact of his faith on the police after his statements in an interview last month, including that police had used exorcisms to catch drug kingpins and guerrilla leaders. He also issued a strong condemnation of abortion, which is legal in Colombia. Although Colombia is predominantly Catholic as a country with conservative and religious traditions, it is a secular state under its constitution. Petro, who was sworn in as the country's first ever leftist president last August, said that Sanabria would never be persecuted over his religion, but that there must be separation between religious beliefs and the state.
Man, remember separation of church and state? Man, we used to do that here.
Like, when I read this article, I was like, yo, homie, why you snitching on yourself? Like, because there's one or two things that's going to happen. Either everyone's going to read it and do what they did, like, yo, this dude's bugging out using religion and, using exorcisms to catch criminals. Or two, let's say this works. Why are you giving away the G to your game? This is your secret. This is your superpower, homie. Like, you could have been catching criminals for years, become a police chief legend, and had, you could have wrote a book after you left office. Yo, the key to my success, exorcisms, my G. I ain't want to tell nobody. I rose to the top through these exorcisms,
How?
But you gave it away too early.
How does an exorcism help you catch somebody?
I would assume you when you're doing investigations to other people, you do an exorcism on like a lower level criminal. And you know what I mean?
So, all right, but that means you have to believe that the demon is in that person.
Yeah.
Right? Because an exorcism is basically trying to get the demons out. So now, are you trying to get the demons out, or are you asking the demons to snitch?
Oh.
Do you then? So you've reached the demon inside me, right? That's the name of this pamphlet. So you've reached the demon inside me. Do you try to cast out that demon, or do you ask that demon, first off, who you working with? Who's your clique? Right? And then get that information. And if you get that information, do you then cast the demon aside, or do you keep the demon in me in case you have follow-up questions?
Yo, real talk, the way you phrase it, like, it sounded like an article in the New Yorker, after reaching the demon inside. 21 questions.
I just, how does that work? You know what I mean? Just, what are we doing with the demon? Because that's the whole thing with the exorcism. It's not like being a medium, right? And talking to a spirit. Because then the spirit is still around, and if you wanted to try and reach him again, maybe you might be able to get him. But a demon, your whole point is to get the demon out of the person.
What if that's the deal he makes?
Now, if you get the demon out of the person, can that person say, "Oh, I was possessed by a demon, not guilty," on the grounds of, you know what I mean? Like demon possession. So. It seems like this guy may actually be fucking up a lot of cases. Think of all the cases then that they have to go back to where they're like, oh, wait, no, but I had a demon in me. Right? Now you got to retry all these cases. This seems like a mess.
I didn't do it. The demon did it. Okay.
Yeah, that's too much. Yeah, the dog ate my homework kind of thing. So it's not practical. It's just not a practical thing, I think. A medium, yes, because maybe you can reach the spirits. But a demon, like an exorcism, means you're trying to get rid of the demon, which means you don't want it around at all. But you also still kind of need it. Like, it's got to come up on the stand, right? Yeah, that was me. I
don't... Yo, why did demons sound like Eeyore, yo?
I mean, you can't. I don't know how happy you're going to be being a demon, but yeah. No, I did it. Because he was caught. Because he's a demon that's been caught. That's why. If he was getting away with it, he might be a little snazzier, but no, I feel like a demon that's been caught is going to have a little Eeyore to him.
Oh, man. Yo, light your candles for the demons, you know what I mean? Little prayers. You know, hope they're doing okay out there. You know, they're having a tough month in Colombia. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so.
Everybody blaming them for their crimes, you know?
Yo, no, I didn't even do that one. Now, come on now. That was his heart. That wasn't me.
I own my faults, okay?
Yeah, I'm proud of it. Put my wins on the board. I'm a demon. I need it. But this guy, this was all for him.
You don't know how bad I want to write this fan fiction right now.
You write it. Just do it. Just write it.
In other news, man who threatened dictionary publisher sentenced to a year in prison. That's right. A California man who made a violent anti-LGBTQ related threats against a dictionary publisher, Merriam-Webster, over its updated gender definitions was sentenced on Thursday to a year in prison. The sentence imposed on Jeremy Hansen, 35, by federal court in Massachusetts also included 30 days of home confinement, 3 years of probation, and mental health treatment. Hansen pleaded guilty last year to interstate transmissions of threatening communications and connections with threats made to the Springfield, Massachusetts-based dictionary publisher and the president of the University of North Texas. In court documents, prosecutors said the Rosemore, California man has a history of threatening communication, nearly all of which were motivated by biases based upon race, gender identity, and or sexual orientation. Those other communications were directed at the American Civil Liberties Union, Amnesty International, Land O'Lakes, Hasbro, and the non-binary rabbis and others.
Hold on.
Yo.
So this guy is so mad about things based on race, gender identity, and or sexual orientation that he threatened the ACLU, Amnesty International, Land O'Lakes.
That's when it took a turn for me, yo.
And Hasbro. And Merriam-Webster, the dictionary people. What's going on? I mean, what's really going on? What?
Yo, like, I got no problem with like people being mad at things, you know.
I hope not.
It's a big part of my brand. I get it. Okay. Mm-hmm. I try to think that my anger is usually justified, but I also think everyone thinks their anger is justified. Sure. So I can't say I agree with the guy's anger in this case, but I can understand being angry. But like, there should be a sign that like you're on the losing end of this or on the wrong side of it. One of those is when like your enemies are this wide ranging, you know, like,
right. Yes.
If you got beef with the ACLU and butter, like that's a problem. Like,
yeah, the ACLU, butter, and a non-binary rabbi all walk into a courtroom going, you know what?
You know what I mean? Yo, like sit those people together at a wedding table and let them try to figure out the connection. They won't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Which means I make Monopoly. Like none of these people got any relationship whatsoever, yo.
That's so strange. I mean, I can't imagine being that worked up. And maybe this speaks to the mental health part of it, I guess. Although I feel like we blame a lot on like the term mental health, as we discussed, has been doing some heavy lifting lately. Mm-hmm. This guy could just be constructed out of pure hate. But also I would try to, because I'm grumpy. I'm a hater. I don't hate, but I do have hater ways.
Right. Okay.
But I try not. I've certainly not written a letter over any of it. I'll tell you that. I've never threatened. Like in many of the companies that I think are doing things poorly, especially with regard to food. I'm not going to write you a letter. I'm not going to threaten you. I'm just going to not eat that thing. Right. And then go on about my business. And I don't understand. These are all things that don't seem to affect him, even though he's very worked up over it. I don't know why we're not just leaving folks alone, because that's ultimately what we want. We want people to leave us alone.
That's
And
it.
it really bothers me when it's just like, well, I want to have a say in your whole being, and I'm going to go straight to the top, which is the dictionary. Like, that's wild. Hasbro's got to know. Hasbro don't got to know nothing. Like,
Oh.
what has happened? It's very frustrating. It's just that people feel like that is necessary and that they're the one to do it.
And whatever
It's
they got to know, I promise you, yeah, like you aren't going to be the one to get that point across.
no,
Okay.
no. You're just one person who literally just hit send on an email to Butter.
Straight
So,
up.
excuse me if me at Amnesty International is not in the mood for all of this.
My man, you hit a spam filter. Okay.
Right.
That's all you did with all this energy.
I wonder if those other places even noticed. How many places are like, who? Well, let me check the spam. Oh, here it is. Oh, yeah, he sent us a lot of emails. We didn't even catch it. Like, oh, we put him on a watch list and hadn't thought of him since.
Straight up. Then the last letter, which was the last one read? 85? 85? Yeah. Haven't seen that dude. Kept complaining about there being women on the butter box or something.
Yeah, when she's gone, and that's got its own issues. Yeah. She ain't even on there anymore. But that's its own problem. But it has nothing to do with gender identification.
I don't know, B.
That's just more of a what's weird kind of thing. Like in a when they changed the Aunt Jemima thing, I was like, well, that's strange. That's not where the problem was. That's
at
not
all.
Yeah, that's not close. But okay.
Oh man. Finally, Colorado Rockies mascot attacked while dancing on the dugout. That's right. Denver, the team's Triceratops, posted on Twitter, for those of you wondering, I am okay. Let's just not beat up the purple dinosaur, he requested. Okay. Denver, the mascot for the Colorado Rockies baseball team, appears to have gotten a little dinged up from a fan encounter at Coors Field. The cheeky purple Triceratops was dancing on top of a dugout during a game with the St. Louis Cardinals when an unidentified man decided to tackle the creature for no particular reason. Luckily, the Triceratops was a trooper and quickly popped up and to show signs that things were okay. However, the Denver Police Department is still looking into the incident as an assault and working with the Rockies to identify the alleged attacker. The Dinger felt obligated to address the fans on Twitter, as mentioned earlier.
Well, good for him.
I was looking at this and like, first, you shouldn't be tackling like anybody in general,
right?
Especially somebody doing their job. I will say, dancing in this guy's view, I could see why it's annoying. But like that guy could have said, hey, like I can't see. Outside of that, like this escalated way too far. But
he wasn't dancing in front of the guy.
Right. He was on the dugout.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried my best to like see what might annoy him. I think he like wiggled his tail kind of like in the guy's face, and I think that's kind of what like.
Okay, I just watched the clip.
Like that might have been the line. He was like, "Yo,
also,
this is a little
that guy
far."
went real low. That guy went for his knees.
Well, I mean, that's in his defense. That's how you tackle. You don't want to go for headshots anymore. NFL's made a big concussion protocol changes. So
okay, all right.
He's doing the right tackle.
Okay, I'm looking. Well, and also I will say, let me describe what's happening to our listeners. Okay, so there's the dugout, and then there's the little mascot. He's purple, and he's kind of waving to get the people to wave around, and then he turns around. He's on top of the dugout, so he turns around so that his back is facing the crowd,
right?
And he does like a 1, 2, 3 kind of shake of his tail. And that at the end of the tail shake is when a guy has climbed up, and then he turns back around, and then the guy tackles him and takes him to the ground. But then he pops back up and he's like, no, I'm good. but that's still, why would you? I will say it happened right after the tail wag.
Yeah.
But the guy had already been climbing at that point. Let me see. No, he was drunk. It wasn't even a climb. It was one step up. So I think he just didn't like the tail being wagged in his face. And I will say it is, I'm sorry, Dinger, you may not know because you can't see behind you, but you dragging a wagon back there. Right? So it's a little junk. It's a little junky in that trunky. Maybe it was maybe it was too much for the man.
Yeah.
Because it was right when he turned around and started to do the little wind up. The guy was like, I can't take this. So really, it's definitely that dude's problem. I don't think it was disrespectful.
Right. I don't think it was intentional to do that in the guy's face or whatever. But I could see why the guy was annoyed.
If the guy was drunk enough and But he also was going to be gone soon. Like he wasn't going to stand there for the rest of the game. How are the Rockies doing? Are they doing poorly? Is that it?
You know what? They're one of those teams that I never keep track of.
Okay. I feel like I follow someone on Twitter who is a Rockies fan, and I feel like his tweets lately about baseball have been real like, wah! And I'm like, I guess it's not going well.
They are 8-17. So yes, that is a bad start.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's not good. Okay. So
under 33% as rough.
Okay. So then maybe that's it. Maybe it's the stress, and he's just thinking, who the fuck are you dancing at, Dinger?
Ain't nothing to celebrate.
Ain't nothing to celebrate. Yeah. So I think that's really more the vibe than being mad at Dinger, being mad at pretending that this is all a farce.
Oh man.
I think that may be more of what it is. But I mean, he's lucky it wasn't fucking Gritty or the Phillies fanatic or whatever.
Yeah, they would have lit you up in Philly over this.
Oh my goodness. I don't trust. Gritty got a blade on him. You can't tell me he don't. You can't tell me he doesn't. Absolutely. And the fanatic, I don't know what's in his horn. He been crazy for too long. The fanatic's been crazy for too long. So,
if you would like for the Colorado Rockies mascot Dinger to shoot a fair one with this fan, see who's really about their life.
What? They get in the ring together?
Yeah, head to head.
MMA style.
Exactly.
MMA style. Okay.
At least give Dinger a real chance when he's not focused on his job. Okay.
Yes.
If you're gonna do this, let him dance.
Yeah. Let's catch Dinger in his basketball shorts. Let's catch Dinger.
Let him stretch.
Yeah. Let's give Dinger a couple of beers. See how he's feeling.
All you gotta do is subscribe to the show, baby. If you're an Apple or Spotify listener, we appreciate your ratings. 4 stars. You haven't seen Dinger after MMA class. He's pretty serious,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him grapple. He knows what he's doing, 5 stars. You know that Dinger is the Philly fanatic's little brother. He's been getting his ass kicked for years, and he's not about to have it from anybody else. Okay? So this fan's going to get rocked,
Yeah.
And then that's going to be embarrassing. You got to tell people got beat up by a giant mascot.
That is very much so.
With all that said, I am the admittedly rooting for Dinger, Gastor Almonte.
Always rooting for Dinger. I'm always for the mascots, unless they fight each other. And even then, I'm going to find a favorite one.
I like that. With the soon organize the mascot fighting tournament, Shalewa Sharpe.
Underground. It's going to be Fight Club style.
This has been a Mascot Fight Club episode of the War Report. Catch y'all next time. Peace.